Welcome into another episode of Homegrown. Before we get started, just a reminder, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the Jackson Baseball YouTube page so you can never miss an episode of Homegrown. Without further ado, we'd like to welcome back Coach Gamble yet again for this episode of Homegrown. Coach, one, welcome back, and two, this episode we're going to kind of recap the fall and see how the program's transitioning now heading into winter workouts and maybe what you guys do behind the scenes as you get ready for tryouts come spring season, which is, believe it or not, only about 2-3 months away.
Yeah, it does catch up on you. Yeah, we had a great fall. I thought overall our players had that relentless focus, that just laser focus that was healthy to see. That was really good for the players to see. And I think that's a credit to that leadership team, that leadership council that actually meets in this room. We meet as a group with the seniors and the underclassmen that have chosen and really laid that groundwork, for what we want to accomplish over that. When we sat down in June of last year, July, August, and now into November, December time. But, they really laid that groundwork, and we sat down here and literally said, what do we want to accomplish, and how are we going to get there is probably the harder one. And that's the groundwork we're really working on and transitioning to. Fall went outstanding. I thought our competition Wednesdays were really fun. Maybe you saw some of those on social media. I think the highlighted with the Halloween, fungo golf that we had. But we had, kickball games, anything that brought out a competitive atmosphere. Early, it was playing baseball, and putting them really upperclassmen versus the seniors. And they were playing for blood, and that's what we wanted to see. And then it transitioned into can we keep the competitive juices and maybe make them uncomfortable. And I think we got to do that too. I mean, I saw some of the most athletic plays made when we were playing flag football. We had some great, and then we had our referees out there, so those shout out to our guys reffing. But I think that's kind of the things that we really wanted to recreate and reconnect that culture was really with the winning Wednesdays we talked about, and really centered it around our throwing program and our individual groups of 6, for our indie work and our hitting groups. But we took advantage of being outside because that was a big deal. We had an amazing fall. Weather-wise, and we took advantage of that, and that was outstanding. So our arms threw it, man. They did it right, and we had an amazing long toss program, and guys just threw the ball really, really well and clean, and that was the thing I liked, clean. We had some hiccups, but that was that does happen. But I think arms-wise, it was an impressive show, a mature show. And these guys really took their sessions very serious and on point, and like a college player. And we talk about, can you be a pro? Can you be a college player? And I started seeing that a lot, especially from our arms, and that was fun to see.
And especially just from overhearing, whether it's being in here, just from the kids, young guys too, right? Young guys showing up, and you mentioned, winning Wednesdays. Those young guys competing against the seniors that, maybe sometimes in other places or even here in years past, those underclassmen can be intimidated by upperclassmen. And here they come out, and you said they played for blood, which I have to imagine you'd love to see trickling all the way down to those now sophomore players in your program as well.
Right, and that's it, man. And I think that's a credit to two ways. Allowing our seniors, are kind of taking the reins, but they're allowing those underclassmen chances to grow, take leadership roles, and you're seeing some of the returning Letterman type guys taking those type of roles on and accepting them, and not alienate them. So that was, I think, a really big step in our program. And again, what we're really trying to push for is for the guys to fit in. And instead of fit out, to be honest, because that's the biggest thing for us right now is, we really transitioned that culture back to where we want it to be, that gives us the best opportunity, for wins and losses. But for us, is creating that championship style culture, and guys are fitting in, and the guys that aren't fitting in, that circle is becoming way smaller, and for me, that's healthy to see, but it's starting to be. Really competitive in everything we do. Small group. You're seeing it behind us here. As our coaches have been planning, even getting ready and transitioning into the winter. But the weight room was outstanding, and the juices were flowing, and they're learning how to compete in no matter what environment we put them in.
And that gets them prepared for uncomfortable environments, which they'll find themselves in come springtime when the season does start in Federal League play, and as always, a tough road schedule in out-of-conference opponents. But talking about and going back to fitting in, Let's go back to the fall and individuals and kind of touch on position groups maybe.
Yeah.
So when it comes to fitting in, obviously these players, they're given something to work on, or they're given specific drills in order to make them better, but also allow them to compete against the other guys.
Yeah.
So why don't we touch on infielders first, and what coaches were running that, and just your overall consensus of a fall recap for your infielders with individual workouts.
Yeah, and that's it, man. So, we're very blessed and fortunate to have a lot of alumni that help us out and come back and train our guys, and in the infield, I couldn't be more fortunate to have Kyle Motice, and Mo does an amazing job with our hitters too, but really with our infielders and really just refining and letting those guys gain confidence with their footwork, and hands. And really, some of the guys, it's slowing them down, and other guys, and really building an individual plan for them. And that was something that is a very competitive position group. Returning a lot of players and some really solid underclassmen. So that's a very competitive position group moving forward in the 2022 season. But it was good to see the guys compete, take coaching. It was really cool to see them really just kind of absorb as much as they can from a guy who played AA baseball.
Right.
And a guy played at Division I level and played here and got the dog pile. So for us, that infield group really, I thought grew. I thought made huge strides, and it was good when our fall season ended, and I got middle infielders and corner guys coming up to me going, "Hey, can we continue to do indies?" They got the right energy, and they're going in the proper direction. So that's a huge credit to Coach Mo, Kyle, K-Mo, but also a huge credit to that leadership core of that group to lead it. So infielders were phenomenal. Outfielders, man, they really, again, they're a little bit more of a younger group coming in, but still experienced, and really clean fall for them. Clean, and I mean like technique was there. We were able to get the jugs out, work line drives, throws to the plate, those type of things, because the weather was outstanding.
It really was.
So for us, we were able to take advantage of that, and those two groups really made huge strides in the fall. Again, as we're trying to create that atmosphere of, just growth.
Absolutely. And so obviously then there's the other group being the pitchers. You already mentioned long toss. You said how clean they looked, which obviously you're going to have some mistakes, which you had touched on already. But let's talk about that, because I know that there was some guys that maybe aren't sure what to expect, that just getting them out there now, seeing what kind of arm they have, if it's a live arm or what kind of movement they have, how beneficial is it for you and your staff to see that now? And then how beneficial is it for the kids right now as well?
Well, and that's really the only time of the year we have to long toss and really try and develop arm strength, weather-wise and competition-wise. So they go into, once you get to that February mark, we're back on the mound and we're ripping pens.
Right.
Even if it's just one pen a week, a short pen, gaining to get ready for the season. And then the summer's that grind of June and July. They really get a little downtime, and then we ramp them up after Labor Day here for a 7-week session. And again, we're able to work mechanics, long toss, some spin rate stuff, some spins, and it's spinning the ball a little bit. It's a really big deal for us. And they had a chance to get a feel. And I think that's the part of coaching that I think I've grown the most on is feel. We all know when they're doing it right. You guys are coaches in front of the cameras, behind the cameras, and out there right now. But it's allowing them to feel it, and they got to be able to feel it, and they got to be able to replicate it, and allowing us in a somewhat competitive environment of them throwing really against each other for perfection. But it was less against a hitter. They were able to get out there and feel how to spin the ball, and take a little off. I mean, we were able to, talk about what's the 0-0 versus the 1-2 off speed look like. Can we work that third pitch or that fourth pitch with the cutter? So really that was and then you still got to build in arm strength. Right. And I think that's the biggest thing that you get a chance to do is they get a chance to allow the arm to get long, and then they need that downtime. And then we shut them down. And these guys, they'll start ramping back up here soon, but, we want them to take that downtime and let their body rest. And they're still in the weight room, though. We're still in the weight room. We're still doing those type of things. But let that arm take its break before we get back on the horse again.
And weight room is where you guys have been. You're really transitioning there now as you get to, quote unquote, winter workouts, which after we get back from Thanksgiving break, that's where it really ramps up. And you're 3 days a week for the most of the time. Talk about maybe the culture that these kids have set now and this group especially, from winning Wednesdays and how that could possibly translate into the weight room and how they're going to compete against each other in there. And I don't necessarily mean, hey, he squats 315, I can squat 315, because that's how some kids get hurt sometimes.
Sure,
but more
sure.
so just wanting them to push each other and become better every day.
Yeah, and that's it, man. You said it. I think it's trickling over, and you're seeing it. As coaches, we're seeing it. You know, the weight room became competitive against each other, you know, and you're talking about, you know, we're doing floor benches, we get a little bit, you know, but we got dumbbells, and I think we had 8 guys throwing 100-pound dumbbells up. You know, in that last week where we're really trying to get, you know, that high weight, low rep series that we were in, you know, so that's a big deal. You know, these guys are really in there spotting each other, technique. You know, we really talked about form and function even over moving a lot of weight down the stretch, you know, for safety reasons, and again, you get the most out of your lift. But at the end of the day, you start seeing it now spill over into the weight room, and then you start seeing it in the indies, and now you start seeing it back into the classroom. You know, we had to just finish that first quarter with a 3.5 some team GPA. Again, we talk about that holistic approach and growth. You know, we can't just have growth in the classroom or in the weight room or on the field. That's the whole portion that we have to bring those pieces together. And as a dad, you know, as a coach, that's what I want. You know, because these guys are going to become the teachers and the accountants and the coaches and the youth coaches. So we want them to have that holistic approach and understand that those are just building blocks for success, for potential success. That's it. That's all we're laying that groundwork. So solid fall for us, and it's just a great transition for us. You know, as we go into this kind of winter one session, almost this quick winter one session, which takes us up through the new year, and then, you know, kind of winter two is the one that we ramp us up there, that 5-6 week session to get us ready for February 20th.
Right. Speaking of winter one, now you have, I believe, 6 in-group individuals. Yeah. As we're recording this episode of Homegrown right now, we can hear them out there hitting. Talk about maybe, before we transition, I want to be able to touch on the travel program and everything that went through the fall, but talk about right now what's going on individual-wise for these groups that are hitting inside right now in the cages. Like, is there anything philosophy-wise or program-wise you're trying to instill in them, or each kid in here with something else to get better on their own?
Yeah, and I think that's where you spend that individual time, is you're really spending it on trying to, it doesn't matter if we're talking the throwing program and the individuals of our youth team, which spent, you know, our travel guys were in the fall in the evenings with our coaches. It doesn't matter if you're sending that individual plan or you're talking an individual plan of a Faflick or a McCallum, you know, or a Life. You can keep naming names, but those guys have those individual plans set up, you know, and that's kind of what we're trying to instill in them. Especially the players that want to play at that next level. You know, I hear these stories, you know, I've been around enough that I hear the stories, and there's going to be so much transition when they get to college, is that I want them to have a strong foundation. I want our POs to walk into college and know how to go in there and prep themselves for a workout, for a practice, and not go in there and go, oh, what do we should do? I don't know. You know, go in there and say, all right, here's my routine, so I know I'm ready to go when I got to get on the bump and throw it, or I got to get into, you know, PFP work. Or I want my shortstops to know this is the footwork and the handwork I got to do to get loose. So we're creating those routines and those kind of baseball lifestyle decisions right now. So we're building those foundational pieces so they can get in and just play at a high rate of speed, play fast, you know, and play relentless. You know, those are the things we want to see on the back end. Right now we're building foundational pieces. You know, it's that foundation that gets built. You don't see it in the ground, but you know it's got to be strong. You know, and it can't go wrong. Your house is going to fall down.
Right.
So those are the pieces we're really building. Doesn't matter if we're talking 9U, 10U, 11U. You know, as everybody's transitioning now because of weather and all, you know, and all our sports are transitioning to that winter sessions. But yeah, that strong foundation is where we're going.
I'm really glad you mentioned foundation, because now that allows us to transition. It was great fall weather, but not only for your high school guys. We were out here, 2-3 days a week with youth guys, whether it was Mondays with 9s, 10s, 11s, or Wednesdays with 12, 13, 14. You know, kind of walk us back through that and let us, how did that go with all the youth guys as you're trying to set your foundation now at that young age? So as they move up, like you said, for these guys going to college, it's easy. So as these guys get older and they move into the high school program for you, they know what to expect, or they have an idea of how things are going to be ran. So, I mean, all in all, how did the practices go with all these youth travel teams?
It was, you know, great point you brought up. You know, Coach D-Rod spends a long, and you know, and all our travel coaches, but you know, he kind of being as a CEO of that, really spent a lot of time in the planning and having proper coaches ready to go, and in that process of giving those guys those opportunities, we really concentrated on the outside stuff. We really concentrated on long toss. Really concentrated on, fielding the ball outside on the turf, because we're going to get tons of hitting when we get inside, in those next sessions, and pitching, that type of stuff. So we really wanted to concentrate on outfield work, things that you don't get to really master in the north because of weather, and you got to play. So, I was able to look at it this year for the first time in a long time. I was able to look at it from a dad standpoint, and I was able to step back as more of a CEO and watch coaches like yourself and Coach Zink and Coach Yoder and Coach D-Rod and Coach Sully and those guys run those sessions. And my kids were in them, when they could get in there from the fall sports. But it was really cool to see, again, the building those foundational pieces and understanding how those pieces, one brick at a time, will lay that foundation. So when they get inside and then when they get to the spring, they have those pieces in play when it starts getting fast, because it's competitive.
Right.
It's going to get fast. But for me, I love seeing that because, again, at the end of the day, and you guys know this as well, I say it all the time, that's our 401k. That's our investment plan. And investment to the 2022 season, because I'm pumped for the 10Us and the 14Us and the 12Us, but I'm also pumped for the freshmen incoming, to see those guys, and then and those sophomore crew, and that, of course, that varsity crew, which gets the notoriety more, because of the being on the front page. But yeah, it was a great fall. Credit to you guys. Credit to Coach D-Rod with a great plan.
And what's even cooler, I think, now, and it's been like this for a few years now, but these guys on your varsity and junior varsity and freshmen, those are the same guys that were in these 9, 10, 11U kids spots, just 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, which is even cooler to see when they can come out here and connect to the younger kids and say, hey, I was here at this point too. And then, I don't know, does it allow those kids to say, okay, that's where I want to be, and if they did this, then I'm on the same path as them?
I would think so. I think there's a path at least there, and they know what they have to travel. The cool thing is that I think we promote and try and create as much avenues for guys to play multiple sports. Right. We want the football, we want the soccer players, we want the cross country kids, and the same thing in basketball, in wrestling. We want those because it helps with overuse injuries, but B, it creates the competitor. The data's out there and everything, and we see it. So they're seeing the multi-sport guys, still finding ways to be elite baseball players. Right. Even though it's the third sport when it comes in the season. You got the fall, the winter, and the spring. They're still finding ways to get enough in, but yet, not take away from hoops, not take away from wrestling, not take away from swimming, those type of things, and that's the things that we're just trying to do, is provide those opportunities when they fit. When they fit in the priorities for all level guys, and I think that's been the juggle for us, is creating that puzzle, those puzzle pieces here and and all these different systems to make it work. But I'm really excited where we're at, and even more excited where we're going.
I know I think I can speak for most of those kids, and especially these kids out here that are working right now. They're excited to get rolling too. And so as we wind this episode up, what is next for you guys? Where is the program? Is it where you want it to be right now as far as this class getting ready for next year? And then, what's next for this class and for you guys as a coaching staff?
That's it. For us right now, we're in that, one step at a time mode, for us in the individuals. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast, but some guys need breaks right now. So everybody's really got their own plan for us. But our challenge to them is be where your feet are. And I think that's been, orchestrated and talked about for years in the baseball world from multiple sports. But really, when they're here, be locked in here. You know what I'm saying? When you're in chemistry class, be in chem. You know what I'm saying? When you're at that travel basketball tournament, you know what I mean? Be locked in, hit the threes, play your game. So for us, it's really about being locked in when we're here, and understanding that we're just trying to build one brick and not the whole house today. So I think that's a big deal for us, in kind of laying the groundwork so they can, again, create growth, the proper steps forward. So as we move forward into that transition period after the holidays here, because this is going to be that next month here. You got the holidays. There's a little bit of school. You got midterms for the older guys. So for us, it's going to be a whirlwind, and then all of a sudden, boom, we get back after that Christmas break, and we're like, hey man, we're on a countdown mode. Yep. And then it kind of goes to a whole nother level of locked in and kind of focus in there. So the guys are moving in the right direction. The most important thing is they have the right mindset. So, as a staff, we're just excited to see where they go. We're just trying to chart it for them.
And by you guys charting it for them and excited to see where they go, I know there's a lot of cool things in the work here between you and Gianni, who's behind the camera right now. Who's able to produce all this. Who I want to give him a shout out because he does do a lot.
Absolutely, man, does a ton.
So I do know that there's going to be a lot of cool things in the works.
Yeah.
So make sure people are stay tuned. Not only just Homegrown, but a lot of informational stuff you'd like to do, especially with Nico, Director of Player Development here.
Yep.
So just stay on the lookout for that. But Coach, if you don't have anything else, I want to thank you for stopping by for this episode of Homegrown.
I love it, man. You guys do an amazing job. I love the transparency that we're showing. I love the other side of the baseball world that we're showing, and you guys done an amazing job producing it and having some great guests and leading us down this great story that we're telling. So I want to thank you guys, and we're looking forward to some more great stories like this in the future.
Well, I know I can speak for Gianni and I. We're thankful for the opportunity. This is a blast to be doing, and hopefully everybody at home right now watching this has enjoyed it so far as well. And if you've missed any episodes of Homegrown, go through the Homegrown playlist on the Jackson Baseball YouTube. Remember to subscribe and like the videos and follow us on Twitter at Jackson Baseball or JHS Baseball 2014. And until next time, I'm Mitch Balla. We'll see you when we see you.